Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Cube Learning's Training in the Care Industry Apprenticeship webinar. Today, you'll be joined by myself, Elliot Roberts, part of the customer engagement team, and Tracy Taylor, who's the head of operations for Care. So just a little bit about ourselves. So I've worked at Cube for 4 years, part of the business development team. After a year at Cube, I headed up our managers and have played a key part in sort of the building of apprenticeships within the sector.
And hi everybody, my name is Tracy Taylor and I'm head of operations for Cube. I've been with Cube now for nearly 6 years, and since this little piece of information was written about me, it says that I've been in this industry now for 15 years, but add on those 6 years, so I've actually been in the education and training sector for about 20 years now. I started my career on the youth training scheme at the age of 16 in a customer service face-to-face environment. And I continued pretty much with that service industry throughout my career until I entered the education and training sector. I've always been really passionate about the service provision, and in particular the last 20 years ensuring that we contribute, we can pass our knowledge over to enable a highly trained workforce.
Thanks, Tracy. As we work through the presentation, I'm sure everybody will have their questions. If you could just put them in the chat box, and then there will be an opportunity at the end for a bit of a Q&A. That would be great. Thank you. A couple of slides about Cube. Cube have been in the training sector for well over 20 years. We originally started in the hospitality sector and then moving into care, business services, logistics, warehousing, into different areas. We have different elements that make up our business. We have our apprenticeship programs, which is our core product, and then we have our traineeships as well. Recently, we've launched something called Cube Vision, which is a set of online e-learning programs, which can be support people who don't go on an apprenticeship. They can be there to support people who work alongside an apprenticeship. We have Cube Talent, which is our recruitment area. We've always supported businesses with recruitment, but over the last 12 months, we've launched a new product, Cube Talent, which can support with the recruitment of apprentices as well as recruitment of people who don't go on to an apprenticeship. A couple of key facts about Cube. In 2019, we actually won the AELP Service Provider of the Year, which was a really proud achievement for everybody at Cube, and Tracy was up on stage picking up the trophy for us. We're one of the largest independent training providers in the country, and we have over 200 staff dotted field-based around the country. So we've got, for instance, a care tutor down in Truro, and then we have one up in the northeast as well, and then we cover the breadth of the country. Here you'll see a list of care organisations, from residential care to large NHS trusts who trust us with their learners at present. So some of these relationships we've had for over 10, 15 years. Some of them are newer, which we've won since the apprenticeship levy came in. Happy to field any questions at the end of what we do with each company, because as you'll see later in the programme, everybody's got a bit of a different perspective on what an apprenticeship is and how it's delivered and what we can do for them. I have a little piece here from Carol Corson, who's the head of training at Care and Homes Group. We've worked with Carol and CHG for around 8 to 9 years now, servicing over 3,000 apprentices with them over time. A really strong relationship, and one that we've built together. In the first year, there was 8 apprentices, and last year there was over 400 with them. In 2018, Carol actually entered the National Apprenticeship Awards, which is obviously a very popular and famous awards even across the country. Care and Homes Group won their regional finals, which was to us a big shock, to Carol and I, when we were sitting there, because it was down in Mercedes-Benz World down in Kent. Big do, lots of big companies there, and we got down to the final 2, and it was against Ford. And sort of Carol and I looked at each other and we thought, you know what, well, brilliant, second place is great. And when they read out Caring Homes Group's name, it was a very proud achievement for ourselves and for Caring Homes.
And Carol nominated us for the award that we won last year, the Care Service Provider of the Year award, and she was there to celebrate with us, which was really wonderful to have that support from her during that evening.
The next part of the webinar, we're going to look at apprenticeships, and so we'll have a mixture of people's knowledge on the call of apprenticeships. So some of the bits might say, well, it seem a bit simple, but we're just going to cover what an apprenticeship is, what it looks like, and what's involved within it. So an apprenticeship is a work-based learning programme which is funded by the government. There's qualifications designed for each sector, which were revamped back in 2017. So in the old world of apprenticeships, there would be people have different names for them. You might have known them as QCFs, MVQs, where an assessor would come in and literally assess. So they would come in, have a look at what somebody's doing on the floor, support with a bit of learning, but assess their competencies and tick boxes off. In 2017, when the apprenticeship levy was launched, this completely changed, where it was left up to Trailblazers, which is a group of organisations and providers to design programmes which were more fit for purpose, which was seen as a real benefit for the apprenticeship industry. So apprenticeships are delivered through a blended learning approach. So we have an online platform that we use, as well as our face-to-face delivery from our tutors, which we'll touch on that later on in the webinar. So what does an apprenticeship involve? So there's 4 core elements of an apprenticeship. So you've got skills, knowledge, behaviours, and then you've got the functional skills element of it. Not everybody has to do the functional skills element as part of their apprenticeship, but it will be built into their course. So if you're on a level 2 qualifications, for instance, the adult care worker qualification, to achieve your full apprenticeship, you have to pass your level 1 in functional skills for English and maths if you don't have a pre-qualification to support this. At Cube, we will also, if you're on a level 2, allow you to take the level 2 functional skill as well, as an extra piece. If you are doing a level 3 or above qualification, you have to pass functional skills level 2 in English and maths. What we'll do at the start, we'll do an initial skills assessment, which will have a look at your prior knowledge and qualifications within the subject that you're taking. What we want to do is provide new learning and new experiences and development. So if somebody, for instance, might have been in a role for 6 or 7 years and they've put themselves forward for a level 2 adult care worker, what we would really do then is challenge them to see, is there enough development in that? Then what if there isn't? We would suggest a level 3, and we would work with the employer to make that happen if it was at all possible. All apprenticeships have fundamental British values and safeguarding embedded. This might not be totally related to what your course is, but it might look at current affairs, what's happening, changes in safeguarding rules, and we embed that and update that on a continuous basis. All apprenticeships will be completed within work hours. So this might be with a tutor, it might be with your mentor, it might be a task that's been completed, but everything will be completed within work hours. The new thing that happened with the standards is the endpoint assessment. So an endpoint assessment is a set of assessments. This could be a multiple choice questionnaire, it could be a professional discussion, it could be a portfolio. But this endpoint assessment is carried out at the end of the qualification by an independent body. So for instance, for an adult care worker, we might have city and guilds who would then come in and assess the qualification at the end. Tracy's now going to talk through some of the benefits of an apprenticeship in the care sector.
So yeah, I think what's really essential is making sure that your staff are productive through the training that they have, and it's really important that we're supporting you to raise the quality through the standards, the new standards. I mean, they've been out now for a few years, and what we're seeing, it's really raising the quality of the service that your staff need to provide to their clients. And I think the other thing is that it's ensuring that your staff are able to complete a task confidently. And if they can do that confidently and with ease, in turn, that will definitely make it more effective. And what we're seeing is the morale boost across the teams that has when teams are working more effectively and efficiently. And 86% of our employers reported an increase in productivity and a better quality of service through having an apprenticeship, through their staff doing an apprenticeship. Staff retention is important to us, to work with you to ensure that your staff stay on their training programme and are employed with you throughout that. And to support employers with their career pathways. So lots of discussion is had with you as an employer about where you want your staff to get to, and ensuring that they have that career pathway to get there. So having the relationship with the employer is just as important and crucial as it is with the student. When an employee is going through training, it enhances their career prospects. They are more likely to stay with you and have a long career with you, and importantly, building a loyal workforce can build lasting relationships with the customers and help deliver a more personal, care-centred service. 70% of apprentices remained with their employer 20 months after their apprenticeships, compared to 58% for non-apprentices. So I think that's quite an important stat to really think about when you're looking at your career pathways for your staff and what you want to get out of an apprenticeship. So having a career pathway for your employees using the apprenticeship programme can be an effective way and promoting and building the skilled team that you require. So we have examples whereby we have seen a young trainee move from a traineeship up to a level 2, and then straight the way through level 3, level 4 and up to level 5. And what's really fabulous about that is the investment the employer has put into that person to allow that career pathway to take form, means that we're seeing the next generation of managers. And there's nothing more wonderful about succession planning as an employer, and seeing that person move through the ranks. And you've been part of that, and you invested that time in that person to be able to become what they want to be. So upskilling for us, it's not just about, you know, what programme they're on there and then, it's about where they want to get to. So we have all those discussions about aspiration and career pathways.
So one of the other benefits of apprenticeship is recruited apprentices. So this really helps employers take on people who have sort of no experience within the industry. It allows employers to shape these people and offer them the opportunity to sort of start and then grow within their business. We've seen a big increase of, especially within care, vacancies that haven't been able, this is pre-COVID, haven't been able to be filled. Then have been changed to apprenticeship vacancies with a qualification attached to them, and have been sort of had multiple people apply, and that have found it sort of a lot easier to fill those positions. Not only that, you're offering someone an opportunity who's then likely probably to stay with the company longer, and as Tracy's touched on in the previous points, progress within the company. Linked to recruitment as well, obviously there's the recent government announcements and incentives for recruited apprentices. So you'll see on the screen, previously, 16 to 18-year-old apprentices, employers would receive £1,000 funding for taking on an apprentice for the age of 16 to 18. This has been increased to £3,000 now. Before, there was nothing for anybody who was 19 plus. So if you're 19 to 24 now, it's £2,000, and if you're age 25 and plus, it's £1,500. At the moment, this is up to the end of January. But obviously, with the different announcements and the potential of further lockdown and COVID measures throughout the winter, we see this being extended beyond January. At Cube, as the provider, we have support mechanisms to help employers apply for funding and to support with that method as well. On top of that, we have our Cube Talent side of the business, which can actually help with your recruitment. For 16 to 18-year-olds, it's completely free service that we offer. There is a small fee for 19 plus, but this is still a lot cheaper than if you were to go through a recruitment agency. So that's something we can definitely support with. And if anybody would like any further information on Cube Talent and the incentives, please let us know at the end, and we can send that to you. So how are apprenticeships funded? So if you're a non-levy payer, you're expected to pay 5% towards a qualification, and we will use our government contract to fund the remaining 95% of the qualification. Previously, non-levy employers didn't have to set up what we call an as account, so their finances would just be dealt with by us. Originally, this October, employers were going to have to, non-levy employers were going to have to set up an as account to claim their funding, but this has now been put back to March. It's a very simple process, and as we say, we have a team at Cube who will do this for you and support you with the funding. Back in 2019, the ESFA launched a Levy Transfer opportunity. So this is where large employers who we work with, who don't spend a levy, are allowed to transfer or donate 25% of that to other employers. So what we've done at Cube is teamed up with some of our larger employers or local councils to offer this funding to some of our SMEs. So actually, this year we've had over 500 apprentices start fully funded through levy transfers. So we're on the previous slide, I spoke about SMEs having to pay 5%, which doesn't sound a lot, but if it's not within your budget and it's not something that you've planned for, it's still 5% of a qualification. But what we now can offer is it fully funded through one of our levy transfers. And as I say, over 500 apprentices this year have taken advantage of this, which is absolutely brilliant. So how apprenticeships funded if you're a levy payer? So I'm sure everybody will be aware, but back in 2017, anybody with an annual wage bill of over £3 million was asked to pay tax, a levy on apprenticeships of 0.5% of their annual wage bill. This money is then what I spoke about earlier, an as account. This money is then popped into an as account, which you can only use to spend on apprentices. So what we found in 2017, a lot of training budgets were cut because finance directors were seeing this money coming off the bottom line and being put aside for training. So what we've done with employers is worked with employers to look to see what their training was like before and see how they could utilise the apprenticeship levy to fit their training needs. And that's something we do with all of our employers. Now we're going to look at the delivery, design, and the actual qualifications that we deliver. Tracy will speak about some of our delivery and how we've adapted through COVID. I will talk about the designing the qualifications and how we make this bespoke for each employer, and then we'll look at some of the qualifications which are relevant to the care sector, and then some others that can be used in the care sectors that previously might not have been.
Okay, so Cube Learning deliver a blended learning approach, and this slide shows you the different methods of delivery. So you can see there face-to-face, remote, webinars, online and off-the-job training. We're not in normal times, we're in very difficult, challenging times, and before this horrible pandemic hit us, face-to-face, you know, was always our preferred method of delivering to the students. It's the way that, you know, going in to see a student face to face, meeting with the employer, understanding their environment in that particular home, what challenges they have, meeting with the manager, the mentor, building that relationship up face to face. It's definitely a preferred method, but you know, during these difficult times, we've had to adjust, because what's really, really important to us is that we still engage with students and employers, albeit remotely. We went through a period early doors of COVID, making sure that all of our tutors were fully trained and confident in using the remote facilities. And we deliver our remote sessions using Microsoft Outlook Teams, and it's a skill set in itself. And we also do understand that not all of our students have access to Microsoft Outlook Teams. So therefore, you know, the good old-fashioned phone is used as well, and we can record, do DVR recordings on discussions via telephone, just as good as we can Microsoft Outlook Teams. But I think the Microsoft Outlook Teams does enable us to use camera, so we can still see the student if there's a camera available on their IT equipment. And we know, we do appreciate that's not always possible in some of our care homes. We also encourage our students to log on to our online learning platform called Cube Vision, and this has all the learning resources which can count towards 20% off the job. 20% off the job is something that sometimes employers find difficult to grab, but it's actually quite simple. I wish it was called 20% on the job, and I think it would make life a lot easier, but it's not. It's 20% off the job, and what it basically means is that the student can do anything other than their own job. So it's learning something new. So that could be through any in-house training that is being delivered. It could be learning something new by watching a colleague, something they've not done before. So it's taken them away from their area of responsibility and learning something new. It doesn't mean sending them off to a full day somewhere at all. It's basically them learning something. Our tutors delivering the qualification contributes towards that. So the availability of your students on every visit is really important to ensure that we can engage with them. And again, we can be really flexible with our approach to that and work with you as employers to make sure that we're seeing students at a time which is convenient but in work time. We've got a really good resource which lists all the different types of 20% off the jobs that an employer can support us to cover. So that can be available to you if you would like it. And I've left one of the blended learning approaches off because I wanted to cover it in a separate slide, and that is the webinars. So last but not least, another way that we can cover 20% off the job is through our webinars. Healthcare, I went on this venture a couple of years back now, thinking about how we can do something different in healthcare and deliver a different blended approach. And I've got a team of skills tutors that were writing our content for our Cube Vision to think about how we can transfer that information into tutor-led webinars. And sort of 2 years later, we've got 15 modules which range from very generic modules such as a communication tutor-led session to a specialist module such as person-centred care. And there's 15 of these that are led by tutors, and they've been developed by the experts. The tutors have the expertise, and they will help to progress the skills, the students' knowledge and understanding throughout their student journey. It gives the student a different learning platform as well. So it just maintains that level of interest. They're going somewhere else to learn. And also what's the beauty of these is that they can offer flexibility for you as an employer and the student. So we can mould their journey to suit calendars, maybe some difficult challenges that you might be facing in the home, where we can't necessarily speak to the student, but you can arrange for them to get on one of these webinars because it suits you better. And these sessions are built in various times throughout the day and through the month, and there's 3 sessions a month and 3 sessions a day. So really proud of this venture, and I just wanted to show you what our students are saying about them. So on this slide, there's a few really nice bits of feedback from students that have been on them. So I'll just leave you to have a quick read of those before we move on.
I think a key point at the bottom there as well, everyone, is that 100% of students who have attended the webinars would recommend them to others. So that gives us confidence that they're working and people are gaining knowledge from them.
Absolutely. These are built into, sorry, before you go on, Elliot, these are built into the student journey in the schemes of work, and so they're embedded by the skills tutor at the start of the programme. So they'll be discussed and talked about, and they'll be plotted in throughout the length of programme that the student's on. So they don't sit outside, they're built within. So yeah, so every student will have access to them if they need them. So yeah.
So I'm just going to touch on the programme design element that we have at Cube. So each employer with the apprenticeship standards can have a different qualification. So not all qualifications have a built-in diploma. So that does provide the opportunity to have some flexibility. So at the start, we'd sit down with each employer that we work with and have a look at how their course will look throughout the period of its delivery. What we do, we look to integrate existing training. So if you've got some training that you deliver and it is relevant to the standard, we can build that into the program design. We might build in extra diplomas that aren't part of the qualification itself. Obviously, with the adult care worker and lead adult care worker, there is the level 2 and level 3 care qualifications built in. So we don't change too much within the program design for those 2 qualifications. But for instance, with the level 3, we have a large provider that makes some of the optional units mandatory. So to ensure they're a national provider, so they have homes all over the country, and they want to make sure that if somebody does level 3 qualification, they're all doing this particular unit. So at the start, they will say, if you're doing a qualification with us, your optional units have to be this, 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 and this. So it all becomes sort of completely designed for them. We also like to build in your principles and any basic training that you have, any mandatory training. We do that for you as well. It might be that you have something that sits outside of the standard, and you want to add that to the course design. You want to add some commercial elements to it, so we can add that into it as well. So really, you have your standard, but you can also design it how you want with us, which we've had some real positive feedback with sort of other providers haven't provided. They've sort of got an off the shelf qualification, which doesn't fit a certain company, but obviously we try and bespoke that as closely what you want as we can. So I'm going to talk through the employer journey now, and Tracy's going to then go through the student journey. Obviously, slightly different because a lot of the employer stuff is up front. So first of all, we'll have a conversation to get to know you. Obviously, it works both ways. We need to get to know you to see what you're going to want from us and how we can work together. You're going to want to get to know us to see what we offer and to see if we're the right provider for you. Once that's agreed, we'll look at the program design. This might be for one or two qualifications, or it might be with every qualification that you want to do with us, but we'll look at that. We'll get the ball rolling there. We'll agree on a roadmap, which you'll see later. Show how this qualification will run for you guys. The beauty with Cube, this is very flexible. If it gets 6 months in and it's not quite working how you would want it to work, or you see it working slightly differently, we can change that. The way the map works or the delivery, as Tracy touched on, we have different areas of delivery, so we can change that as we go along. We'll have a program rollout. If you're a large company, this could be a national rollout, which could be a selection of maybe at the moment webinars or e-shots or site visits, or if you're a home, a single home, we can have tutors come to site and do inductions and face-to-face rollouts with the staff members. Every employer we work with has a dedicated account manager, so that'll be your point of contact for learner progress. If you would like to increase your programs that you're delivering, it's your one point of contact that can support with all of your needs. At Cube, as you'll see later in the presentation, we're massive on celebrating success. So the qualifications that we provide aren't just a sort of a tick box exercise that employers put people on programs, they work through the program and that's it. We like to celebrate the success and show development within people. We can help to support individual company presentations and awards, and we also have our annual Cube Awards, which is a big celebration each year where we invite our employers together to celebrate everybody's achievements.
Okay, so the student journey, it starts with program selection in the first instance. So talking about the student may have an idea as to what program they want to come on to, be it adult care work or lead adult care work, depending on their levels of responsibility. We have an enrolment process which involves various tasks that we need to complete with the student and the manager mentor. We have to complete an application form, so that's all the names, national insurance numbers, proof of residency and all that kind of stuff, and the sort of the nitty-gritty stuff. And once that has been completed by the skills tutor, we will then complete a skills assessment. A skills assessment is a really crucial part of the enrolment because it does ensure that we're putting the student on the right programme and that there is enough within the criteria for them to be stretched and challenged. And I think Elliot alluded earlier on that, you know, if somebody's wants to do a level 2, but in fact has been in the role for quite some time, a level 3 might be more appropriate to them, depending on the tasks and the role that they have. So completing that skills assessment is a 3-way conversation that we'd have with the manager or the mentor, the student and the skills tutor. So we'll make sure that we're getting the student on the right programme. We also need to ensure that the right level of support is given for functional skills, maths and English. So we'd ask for the student to complete an initial assessment test, and that will enable us to deliver that right support either through the skills tutor or provide additional support via a learning support coach if that is identified as a requirement. Once everybody is happy and all the enrolment documents are signed by everyone, then the student can start. It's important we get that bit right first time. The skills tutor that enrolls the student is 99.9% of the time the skills tutor that will see them through the rest of their journey. That's our happy path. And we aim to then have a visit with that student every 5 weeks, where we'll take them through their journey. And at each quarter, we'll review the self-assessment to ensure that the competencies are reached and that we're getting towards reaching that readiness to get them through to Gateway. The decision for that student to get through Gateway is again a three-way discussion between student, manager, mentor and the skills tutor, and this is only when all of the elements are completed of the programme, so care certificate, the programme qualification itself, all the criteria is met, knowledge, skills and behaviour, the maths and English have all completed, and everybody's happy and the student is confident that that's the time we'd actually put them through Gateway. And there is a signed declaration by all parties to say that the student is ready. We'll then request an endpoint assessment meeting with the independent assessor, as well as arranging the multiple choice question, situational judgment test, we call it. That will happen. Once that's all happened with the independent assessor, we will then wait for the result, and the results can come in the form of a pass, merit or distinction. And we've had some amazing successes in care in terms of the pass and distinctions, and we're nothing more proud than when we get the results through for our students and our employers. And Elliot talked about graduation, and we've had examples where care homes have put on a special afternoon tea, and we've got along representing Cube, and there's been a proper handover of those certificates, so we can support any of that kind of end graduation if you so desire, but that's the student journey, and depending on the programme they're on, we're depending on the length of programme as well, so it can be 12, 13, 15, 18-month journey.
Brilliant, thank you, Tracy. I'm just going to have a look at our steps to success model that we have at Cube. Today we're going to focus on the apprenticeship steps of it. So we find it's really important that apprenticeships aren't just for people who are entering a job role or a career in a certain area. So for instance, within some care homes and care companies, the first apprenticeship they do is actually the level 5 to manage a home. So it's really key that there's a development and a pathway for everybody. So we can help you design a steps to success model for your own company, and it shows sort of the job roles that will fit each levels. It shows that it's not just for 15 to 18-year-olds who are entering into the sector. So we find that's worked really, really well. It's been utilised throughout with different companies we work with. We have a variety of qualifications available in the care sector. So we have from level 2 up to level 5, and then we also have partners at universities that can support with the level 6 qualifications as well. We won't go through them all individually there, but there's a list of qualifications that we do within the sector there. What I will just touch on is the healthcare cleaning operative. That was launched in May, and we were actually the first provider to market with it, and we're actively delivering that within NHS trusts and care homes now. Tracy's just going to have a look at, we've got a lead adult care worker roadmap coming next, and Tracy's just going to talk you through what that is and what it means and how it's designed.
This is quite a busy slide, and you know, if you need a copy of any of this this information, each of our qualifications is set out like this for ease of reading. But this is just the lead adult care work apprenticeship, and it starts pretty much with the induction. So once the enrolment's completed, we're arranged then for the second visit to take place. So we would go through the skills assessment, where we would have chosen the mandatory units we go through, and then would choose any optional units that are specific to the role of the care worker, or that role that student is going to be is in. So we start with induction, so we'll go through all that, make sure there's full understanding and what is expected from the student, and then we support each of the different modules through deliverers such as Cube Vision, so via Canvas. So as I mentioned earlier on, the student will log on and the tutor would log on. So there's tutor resources, which is all the teaching and learning that have been designed and put together by our skills tutors, because they're the experts and they've written it. So that is what happens on each of the visits. So the skills tutor would go through, it could be a PowerPoint presentation, it could be some professional discussion they want to have, an observation. We could do with, or we could doing those remotely actually. It's quite technically difficult, but we managed to get through those. So observations, expert witness testimony. So getting an expert witness from a colleague, a mentor on something they've achieved is also great. To mention just a few sort of mechanisms of assessment across each module. So we'll work through each module, making sure that we're getting that student to the point where they're feeling confident, because at the end of all of this, remember that they have to talk about their role as a care worker confidently, and understand what the skills, knowledge and behaviour are fully when questioned by the independent assessor. So we take them through all of the different modules to the point where, as I mentioned earlier on, we then have the gateway review. So it's confirming that they fully understand, and we touch base also with skills tutors between gateway and endpoint assessment, because there's often a little bit of a gap because we're waiting for a date to come through. So we'll touch base, making sure that they're practicing and you know, they're carrying on with that learning, and if there's any support that they need, we can support them with anything at all in terms of practicing, etc. So that's pretty much how it works. We're always there at the end of the telephone, not just on the visit but outside of the visit, by email, by text, if any of the students need us in between visits. So our aim is to get them through that journey to gateway and then through to a successful completion, to get them a pass, merit or distinction.
Thanks, Tracy. We've also, I'm just going to run through some of the apprenticeships here that are used within the care sector as support services, and then after hospitality. I won't go through them all individually, but after the webinar, we will send out information on each qualification. And if you are watching this after the webinar's gone out, if you make a request for these to be sent out, we can do that for you as well. Obviously, quite popular within the care industry are hospitality apprenticeships that we offer in tandem with our partner, PLG. So I touched on earlier that everybody would have a sort of a dedicated account manager. That will be the person that our employers come into contact with first, and so they will support with everything, with funding, reporting, strategy, planning, support once the learner's on program. That is the one point of contact to support with any needs you need within training. We also have a dedicated marketing team who are dedicated to support our employers. You'll see on the screen there's a couple of examples of materials that we've produced. So we can bespoke everything for our employers. We can support with internal training days, events. So anything from a marketing point of view, our marketing team can work with. If you've got a marketing team with your company, they work with them, and we produce any materials that are needed. Have great feedback about our marketing team and the support they offer. Just bear with me, guys. There we go. The joys of technology went to straight in. We carry out engagement days. This might be at head offices, this might be at individual homes, it might be at regional meetings. So in previous times, we would go out to site and hold these engagement days where questions can be asked before anybody enrolls on qualifications. And there's a couple of examples there with Adam and Gail engaging with our employers. Again, something we've done throughout the program, throughout the webinar. Sorry, celebrating success. So we have our end of year awards. We support with internal events, but we also do press releases. We have Student of the Month, Employer of the Month, and we earlier where Carol CHG made it to the Apprenticeship National Awards. We supported her with her application, providing figures and information with her learners to write the bid. Now we're just going to show you a video from last year's event.
Colin Jackson, and I am the host of the 2019 Hi, I'm Cube Colin Awards. Jackson, and I am the host of the 2019 Cube Awards. Here officially to welcome you to the Cube Awards for 2019. I feel it's going to be a fantastic night. This is the second time I've been here, so I'm very excited to be invited back to host this awards.
We're here to celebrate the achievements of our students, employers, and I have to say the nomination process does get tougher every year. So massive congratulations to everybody that's made it this far, and also not just to the students but to their mentors and their tutors that helped them get here as well.
And the winner is DFS.
Sorry, everyone, slight technical hitch there with the video, but I say we can send out afterwards and show you how we celebrate success.
This year, we didn't cancel the Cube Awards. We kept calm and we carried on, and Colin Jackson hosted our Cube Awards in September, well last month it was, and he hosted them remotely live, And again, we saw some great achievement from our healthcare employers and students alike, winning awards. So it's really the icing on the cake for us at Cube to be able to celebrate our students and employers' success once a year, and nothing can stop us from certainly doing that. So I think we're now going on to any questions that we might have from the questions board.
Yep, we've had a few questions come through. The first one was with regards to the webinars that you mentioned, Tracy. Someone asked, are they included in the price of the apprenticeship, or do they cost extra?
No, they are part of the student apprenticeship programme, so they're built into the student delivery. No, so they do not cost any extra.
That's excellent, thank you. The next question, I work for an independent care home. Can we still offer our staff apprenticeships? For example, would our business be too small?
No, apprenticeships are for individual homes, or they're for companies who have got 100 homes across the country. As we touched on earlier, they're funded in slightly different way, but we will support you with the funding elements of that. But no, apprenticeships are for all employers.
That's excellent, thank you. Do our in-house staff mentoring apprentices need to have any form of formal mentoring qualification? So do the mentors themselves need any, is there any criteria for them?
No, there isn't a specific qualification that the mentor will need, but we actually offer mentor support at the start. So we have mentor webinars that can help support future mentors in how to mentor. We support throughout the programme at quarterly checkpoints with the mentors to see how they've been mentoring and how they could do it moving forward. And we also have a mentor handbook available, which the mentor can have on hand to support through their mentorship.
I think it's really important to choose the right person for that role, because the level of responsibility of them being involved throughout the student journey, and to be able to give that support and time that they need. So choosing a mentor wisely is key to that role, most definitely.
Yeah, definitely agree with that one. And our final question, is there a certain time of the year or the month that the apprentices have to start?
No,
take that one, Elliot.
Yeah, so as an independent provider, we're actually able to enrol 12 months of the year. So unlike colleges where you might be able to enrol sort of twice a year, no, we can enrol 12 months of the year, and this can be single cohort. So this might be one person from a single home, or it might be that you have a group of 10 you want to start within the same month at the same time on the same course. So yeah, we're very flexible on with our onboarding process.
Excellent, that's all the questions.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for listening, and as I said, I do apologise for the slight hiccup with a video at the end there, but also we will send that out for everybody to watch, and it is on our website if you'd like to watch it today.
Thank you very much.